Hey folks, and welcome back. Today I actually want to talk about something that's been on my mind for a good while, but I haven't been able to really get the words together properly to really talk about it. And I think with some new information that just came out, I think I could finally put out a proper rhetoric for what I want to talk about. And it's really just about the game as a whole, at least in terms of its health. And I think ultimately what I want to talk about in this video, and what the title of this video even is for that matter, is talking about how CYL5 I think is going to be very unimpactful in terms of just what it might lead to in terms of the game, or what it might do. And there's a few things that I think would be suggesting this. I was originally actually going to make this video talking about some of my hopes and some of my predictions, or at least some of my very bold takes that I think would happen for the CYL sort of event and all that. And I came up with a few things, and thinking about it now, there's some stuff that still holds up, but I think there's some that doesn't, and I'll go into why. So the one main thing that I really want to go off of from this whole thing was the units themselves, and not really too much in terms of what each of them are going to bring to the table. It was more just like what I really wanted to see out of like the main thing I wanted to see out of the 4 units, out of like Gatekeeper, Marth, Marianne, Erica. For the most part, I really don't care too much, because I feel like for me, it's not something that I value on too much, because I don't have that much of an attachment to those characters specifically as much. And I just don't have any real care, because everybody's already predicted what they're going to have to Hell and Beyond. So it's just like, what more can I do, honestly? But in terms of thinking how it would impact the gameplay is what I wanted to think about. And I was really thinking about what it would be for the male side. Mostly specifically because, I mean, Gatekeeper was a meme pick, basically, and shot up basically onto the top of the categories, passing Marth. And I had this really weird thought in my head, just because, I mean, it's Gatekeeper. I don't really know what you're going to do with that. Are they going to be able to really give him any sort of perf skill? Would they maybe relegate it to Marth, because, I mean, he's a lord. He is like the mascot of the series, basically, or at least the poster boy. So it's like, what could they really do there? And I thought, it's just like, even if there is a perf skill or not, I think a lot of the people really have the best notion that Gatekeeper is probably going to have some sort of skill that literally acts like a gameplay sort of gatekeeping sort of thing. Basically, some sort of like obstruct or a savior of some type. What I was originally thinking about was, and I kind of want to shoehorn this into another thing as well. I originally was thinking that what if they gave him, this is going to sound really weird, a global wide nullification to Pathfinder. Because I feel like the way that Gatekeeper, or at least the sort of narrative that's really being brought home by the player base for Gatekeeper, is that he's going to have this sort of thing where movement is restricted around him or nearby, or doing something to basically gatekeep, as it would, or just, you know, protect in a way. So what you would mainly think of right now, at least in terms of what would be meta-influencial right now, would be 2 things. 1, as I mentioned, something that can nullify Pathfinder, and 2, Savior. And that's really just because, I mean, look at Aether Raids right now. A lot of what you're dealing with right now in that mode is just a lot of high mobility rushdown comps with cavalry units. I mean, how many times are you going to go up against Legendary Sigurd and Note, or just other like mage cav lines in that, for example, with well, I mean, Legendary Sigurd, but you've also got stuff like Legendary Leaf, Legendary Lulina, Duolith, etc. A lot of the ways that you really want to deal with that are basically with some sort of savior unit. And I feel like with how brainless it is to spam however many notes, like 2 or 3 notes, and just have a Sigurd have basically 5 movement immediately, and just go down to the other side of the map, just being like, okay, you're in my range, you're dead now. It's not intuitive gameplay. And I feel like that's the sort of rhetoric that people are trying to go with, in terms of Gatekeeper being able to sort of mitigate that sort of thing by having some sort of savior skill that will affect like all units and whatnot. Or maybe, again, like I was thinking, something that could just nullify Pathfinder, because it's going to get annoying pretty fast, and it's just like, you need to be able to have something to counter these sort of units you need to be able to counter rushdown somehow. And you would think that Gatekeeper would be that answer. But I'm starting to think, based on some new information, that that is not going to be the case. So, and I'm going to pop this up right now. So we got the data mine from Uller getting added in. And this is the main thing that I really want to hone in on, because it has updates going basically past where the new update would happen, because it has to add in quests and that sort of stuff and other stuff like banners. And this is one that I really wanted to note, particularly this last one here. It's an unannounced banner that's coming out on August 2nd. So basically right off the bat, what it's sort of suggesting, and this is going like through August 3rd and 4th for some stuff. By this assumption, because all the event stuff, because you can even see it here with some of the events here, they start all in a second. So the Fate Channel is probably going to happen on August 1st. But this is the main thing. This banner has tickets. Most likely like a login bonus maybe or some sort. But the point is that it's a ticket banner, which makes me think this is a Hero Fest. And look no further than the units to make this a lot more clear. So you've got Valentine's Henriette, Guinevere, Dedue, and Flame. Now, this might not seem super, I guess, Hero Festy, as it may, right off the bat. But you had to think of what skills are on the banner, specifically with two of those units. You've got Valentine's Henriette and Dedue. And what do both of those units have? They have both, or at least not all of them, but one of them has a far save, and one of them has a close save, or whatever it's called. Basically, half of this banner has savior skills. And what this is leading me to believe is that there's not going to be really much on the CYL banner itself that is going to basically influence any sort of counter meta against what we have right now with the high mobility rushdown comps and Aether Raids and all that. They're basically, what this is screaming to me is that we don't care about it. You're just going to have to grab save skills and deal with it. That's what I'm getting from this. And this is what I'm trying to basically nail down. It's that I really don't think IS cares anymore about just this sort of stuff. I don't think they really care to do anything, at least right now. They just want us to alleviate it by giving us more save skills. And I mean, this is basically the best way to do it outside of getting a unit from Hollow Forms is by quite literally just pulling for these units for their save skills and then inheriting them to whichever armor unit you may so choose. It feels like a very weird band-aid solution to this sort of thing. Because you would think that with CYL banners always being that meta-influential, you would think that there would be some sort of change there to help alleviate this sort of issue that we've been having in terms of the gameplay right now. But it really doesn't appear to be the case, especially when you have a banner like this. Because Hero Fests are supposed to make you want to pull for them. Because they're 4 unit, 5 or 6%, I don't remember, I think it's 5. And it's all, there's no color sharing, there's no nothing. It's just good rates, good units to pull for, depending on your definition of good, whether it's a good unit, as in a unit, or for their fodder. And right now, it's really appearing for the fodder, especially when you have both sort of save skills. So what's exactly going to happen? I honestly couldn't tell you, but I really think that CYL is going to be very unimpactful. And that sucks, because, I mean, you would really think that they would do something about the sort of issues they've been having right now in the game. It's been going downwards, at least in terms of the gameplay, since like Book 5. They've been introducing a lot of stuff that's been making the game a lot more annoying to deal with, very unhealthy. I mean, you've got stuff like Kanto. Savior skills in themselves are a little annoying. And like all this weird high movement sort of stuff, it's getting pretty annoying, honestly. And the fact that they're not really doing too much about it by just being like, hey, here you go, save skills, just take them. We don't care. It's just like, it feels very annoying, honestly. But am I surprised? Not really. And I don't think you should really be too. I mean, it's IS Ridiculous for crying out loud. Now, the next part that I did want to talk about as well was something involving the Tempest Trials, because I also feel like I had some bold ideas in my head with what they might do with that, which might also lead to the sort of narrative that it's not going to be that impactful of an event. Because, and this is the really big thing, I don't think that they're actually going to show off Moonspell whatsoever. Because, and here's my point. I think what's going to happen is that LETDOWN is going to be the boss, or at least that's sort of the story that they're trying to set up right now, is that she's going to be the boss of this next Tempest Trial. And besides that, it's like, why would you just show off Moonspell as a story-based character for however many months until, at the soonest, book 6 in December? It just doesn't make too much sense to reveal him as a character quite yet if you're not going to have him be in the game gameplay-wise, I feel. Unless I want to throw some sort of wrench at that sort of idea, which, I mean, go ahead. I feel like, for whatever reason, they're just not going to do it. Especially when you look at the Niffle art, at least the Meet the Hero stuff. They don't really give Moonspell any sort of real image. I mean, they might have, like, some sort of dialogue, but are they going to put a face to the character? It doesn't really feel like that's time for that yet, but I'm honestly not too sure. Another thing that I was also thinking about with this Tempest Trial is what they're going to do in terms of the free unit. Because this is the second Tempest Trial where it's going to be basically having all the CYL characters in them. Not like in any sort of relation, but just another CYL Tempest Trial. Just because of the fact that, hey, it's around the same time. Just use the units. Because it's on a banner, it's like whatever. This usually would mean, at least what I think would entail, is that they're going to have some sort of new hero along with it, someone who hasn't been released yet. Because for the past 2 years, they've done this sort of thing. The first Tempest Trial that you had back with CYL3 was Sigrun getting released as a Tempest Trial unit. And then last year, we had George as a Green Hero battle. So what could they possibly do there? I feel like one thing that I was actually thinking about was they might do some sort of Niffle-themed OC. And I was mostly thinking about this because what if they wanted to do something like what they're trying to, quote-unquote, set up with Reagan in terms of the whole getting the new sword thing, possibly being a new unit with that. And I feel like that would be an interesting thing to see for Fjorm, getting like a final Fjorm alt champion sort of Niffle sort of style thing. But then I realized with how much love they've been giving Fjorm recently, in terms of like her character, in terms of her basically identity, including what they've really been setting up for like LETDOWN as well, at least how they've used that in Fjorm's stories as of late. It wouldn't make too much sense to basically write it off and be like, okay, here's a new weapon, here's a new you, go fight LETDOWN. It doesn't make too much sense to me. And it would be cool, but it's like, that's probably not going to happen. And it's like, I'm trying to think of his name, Nivergar or whatever it was. The person that is mentioned in Niffle's quotes, and I think her death quote as well, which a lot of people have been summarizing, or at least theorizing, I mean, is like possibly like a lover or something, for example, or somebody close to her, but is long since gone because of reasons they might not tell, but also at the same time, it's what made her a very cold and sheltered and just very unopen person. So that would be cool too, but I feel like they might not do that is the thing. And I feel like they might just give in like another character, for example, but I don't think the Tempest Trial overall, in terms of what the story is going to set up later on, I just feel like it's not going to be that impactful, especially if they don't show off Moonspell, which I feel like they might not, but I'm not too sure. But the question is then, if it's not going to be an OC, who are they going to have for the Tempest Trial is the real question. And this was something that I was actually pondering about as well, because it's really weird thinking about it, because Sigrun is a really weird pick to have for a character like that to be added in through like a CYL Tempest Trial and all that sort of stuff, just because I don't even know how to really say it. Like, she wasn't like that extremely popular, but she also had enough to where it's like they wanted to put her in. I don't know. So I was trying to think of like popular units that have yet to get in and who might make some sort of sense as a free unit. I was trying to think of something that could work out, and I really wasn't too sure, but I came up with a couple options. Just thinking about popular units based on like who isn't in yet. So unless they want to do a TMS banner, I was thinking, for example, why don't they just add in Tomua, I think is his name, the one who has Kane as their Mirage or whatever it's called. I know a lot of people were clamoring for him a lot because he's another one of like those main cast characters that wasn't on the TMS banner. And in terms of all the popular characters that aren't in, or at least like the voted characters that aren't in from TMS yet, there's enough to possibly make a banner there, but are they going to do it? Probably not. At least I'm not too sure. But this could be a way to get another TMS banner, or at least another TMS unit, I should say, out into the game. And I mean, people will want Tomua, so it's like, okay, why not? Another example of a unit that I was thinking of that could be possibly added is either Sane or Kent. Because thinking about it realistically, there's no way that you can have both of those units come out on the same banner. Because, I mean, they're both fan favorites, but they're basically the exact same class. Basically, I mean, they're Christmas Cavaliers. What are you exactly going to do about that is the question. I mean, maybe you can make one of them swords, one of them lances. But the point is, they're probably not going to be on a similar power scaling, like comparably to each other. Like, one of them would probably just be, like, you know, just a run-of-the-mill freelance Cavalier, for example, and then the other one is like not necessarily poster boy, but you know, at least has like some premium skills and whatnot. They're not going to both get the exact same treatment, so I wonder what if they added one of them here with like some decent stuff is the thing. And I mean, if I had to be honest, I wouldn't mind taking a free Kent, or not a free Kent, free Sane personally. Because, I mean, who doesn't like Sane? Well, I mean, you can get either or. I don't know. It's just like you can probably get one of the two. Who knows? Another person I was thinking about as well, just for the sake of following in with the whole sort of memery sort of thing. Brigand Bosses now, as of this past Echoes banner, he's now the most popular unit from Echoes that is not added into the game. He even has more votes than Renea from CYL5. And that is really bizarre. And I mean, if they wanted to do that, you could probably do it. Since, I mean, why the hell not? But at the same time, why? So it's just like, I don't know. And then lastly, and this is a really weird ballpark thing that I'm throwing out because I really don't know too much about this, but I was thinking, what if you added in August from 3H776? I believe, as far as I remember, that's he's Leaf's advisor from that game. He's not like an actual playable character, as far as I remember. He's just in a lot of the dialogue and that sort of stuff. I feel like that'd be interesting to possibly add him in, just because, I mean, hey, 4th ratio, why not? But overall, I'm really not too sure what they can really do with the unit for the Tempest Trial. I mean, they could either go OC or non-OC. It's just like, it's very up in the air. And I feel like there's not going to be too much of like a shock factor comparatively to, say, George, because he was literally bought it in and IS kind of went with it and did why the hell not with it. So it's just like, I don't think you're going to get that similar sort of shock value out of whoever that would be this time. And overall, like, including the banner, the Tempest Trial story, and then who you're getting for a unit, the overall rhetoric with what I'm trying to go here for is that I feel like it's just going to be very unimpactful in terms of the game as a whole. And it's just like, why? It feels very lacking, honestly. I don't feel very good about that. And I just don't know what exactly Intelligent Systems is really trying to do with the game right now. Because it feels like it's been going in a downward spiral, at least in terms of its gameplay. And they really haven't been trying to figure out how to alleviate that sort of thing and really bring back the game to the health that it had before Book 5. Because it was doing really, really well last year. But then it started to kind of fall off to an extent just because of power creep and all that sort of stuff. It's gotten pretty annoying and very unfun. And it's something that I've wanted to talk about lately. And I hope that this sort of thing is enough to at least describe how I'm feeling. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people are feeling like this as well. It's just, I haven't been able to put out this sort of video yet because I haven't been able to figure out my words until now to an extent. But if you want to see me do like a full in-depth video talking about how the game has kind of declined and what they could possibly do to alleviate this sort of thing, let me know in the comments, because I know I definitely didn't get out my full gripes and just I didn't have all the words that I wanted to get out here. I didn't say everything that I wanted to say about it. So if you want me to do that sort of thing, I mean, I'm happy to do it if you guys want me to. But otherwise, there you go. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen with CYL5. It's not going to be very eventful, very impactful. It's going to be possibly a letdown. And that's why I think why. So if you agree with that, feel free to leave a like. If you don't agree with me, still leave a like. Let me know if you do actually agree with me or not in the comments below. I want to know what you guys think yourselves based on this information and just the sort of narratives that I kind of have, because reasonably I think it is something you can conclude, but I wasn't sure if I'm just like the only one who sees that, or maybe if there are others that might see that sort of thing too, but I don't know. But if you did like this sort of stuff and you want to see me do more stuff like this instead of just, you know, boring React content, feel free to subscribe and let me know what you want to see from me in the future. And yeah, that's basically it for me. My name is Val, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.